Welcome to the 100 Master Coaches series featuring master coaches from around the world. Let's journey together on this 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, EMCC. Simon Lee is Managing Partner and Master Executive Coach of Brief Academy. He is one of Asia's pioneer executive coaches, specializing in higher ground leadership and solution-focused brief coaching. As a leader in cutting-edge corporate coaching, he has helped many clients in Asia increase their effectiveness by using coaching as a development tool to drive business results. His dream is to illuminate the strengths of others, to inspire the positive change they want to see for themselves and the people they touch. Now on to the show.
Hello, and welcome to the 100 Master Coaches show. Today I have a special guest. He is from Singapore and he's my good friend actually. Can you please put your hands together for Simon Lee? Yeah. Welcome to the show, Simon.
Thank you very much.
Now, Simon, we've known each other. I was just counting, right? I was just seeing, how many years have I known Simon? I think I came to your house. Now, this is a bit of a review. I think in 2013. And I did an interview with you, if you remember, for the book Bring Out Your Best.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah. Thank you, Mel. Helping me to recall. Yeah.
Well, it's been a while, and I have, of course, followed you and such amazing work that you have done, you have achieved with your clients. So today, the feature is on you. We'd like to start and just maybe share who is Simon.
Okay, so Mel, I'm basically just an executive coach, but more specifically a solution-focused practitioner.
Sure.
So I basically try to create ripples of solution focus wherever I go, helping people to bring out some new ways of communication. Yeah, and that's what I do every day.
That's amazing, and you do it obviously in Singapore and to other regions as well and other countries as well. Would you like to tell us, maybe taking you back to how it all started for you? How did your coaching journey start?
Well, my coaching journey actually started with my midlife crisis.
All right.
It was around 1999, when I
Wow.
was working for Quantum Corporation. And at that time, I think the company decided to sell away the hard disk drive business to
Okay.
the competitor, Maxtor. And that was when I was asked to lay off all my employees.
Wow.
And of course, then I have to lay off myself. And then at that time, towards the end of 1999, I think Coach Yu came into Singapore.
Okay.
And that was when I decided to jump in and explore the world of coaching. And since then, I've never looked back. So that's how we got started, midlife crisis.
Of all the things that you have or could have gone into, Simon, right? I mean, seriously, you could have started your own business, for example. You could have maybe, because of your amazing cooking skills, started a restaurant. I haven't tasted your cooking yet. Why get into coaching? Because I know your background was was it engineering or something?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have been in engineering for like 25 years.
Yes.
Of course, for what I do in engineering, I am dealing with people and customer service, right? So as the engineering director and a customer service head of Asia Pacific, every day I bump into difficult clients, and that's when I realize, how coaching could be very helpful when you're dealing with people with emotions. So coaching seems like a natural option for me. And of course, at that time, I mean, I was telling myself I could be a pioneer, in Asia Pacific. So it's a good thing. So I just jump in, and that's what it takes.
That is an amazing story. And you know what? I've interviewed quite a few number of people, and everyone has their unique story, right? And they've come in from all different places and all different times of their life. And for you, it took a little bit like a midlife crisis, as you said, right? After 25 years of working and of course, perhaps even enjoying what you were doing, right? You kind of pivoted into this new field of coaching. Now, tell us, you're starting 2-3 years, right? Often people say it is the hardest early days of our entrepreneurial years. So how was it for you?
Well, I think it wasn't difficult at all
Okay.
because we were pioneers, right?
Okay.
And I remember when I started taking the coaching class with Coach Yu, there were about 12 to 15 of us.
Mm.
And immediately after we graduated, we actually formed the ICF Singapore chapter. And
Okay.
so we met at our homes, and then we formed the chapter. And from like 15 people, we grew to about 40, and then from 40 to 100. So today we probably have about 1,000 people. Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Wow. That is amazing. Starting from home. It sounds like the stories I hear about, Apple and Microsoft, all those kind of companies, Amazon as well, starting from humble beginnings, if I may say, huh, Simon?
Backyard. Sometimes they call it the backyard.
Yeah. What happened after that? You stepped in, you said it was not very difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you land, some of the clients that you have? Tell us that story.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, Mel. When we were new, we were excited about what coaching is. And
Yeah.
so we started telling people about coaching. And what we did was we just invite people to preview,
Okay.
workshop reviews. And out of the 20 people who came, there were 5 organizations who signed up with us.
Wow.
And after that, these 5 organizations alone kept us busy for the next 5 years. So we actually forgot about what we need to do. Just helping the client to create coaching cultures within the organization, and that
Uh,
is enough to keep us busy for the years ahead. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, I know you've told me in our conversations that you've had clients that even, for the last 10 years or so, right? That is an amazing track record to have clients that will kind of continue that journey with a partner. Perhaps right now, I'm just curious, why would a company want to stay so long? I'm not saying anything about you, Simon, okay? I know you're a fantastic guy, but why would that company just keep on coming back, year after year, wanting to do this thing called coaching?
So you can see, Mel, first of all, the company itself is huge, right?
Yeah,
And for MNCs
yeah,
especially, they wanted to create a coaching culture. And obviously, they have to start training their people. And
that's
when
right.
they start to see the benefit of the coach training itself,
Yeah.
they may even think of doing it on their own. Right? But they
Mm,
realize how much they do not yet know, and therefore they needed more information, more resources. So that's where we fill the gap, for them.
mm,
And if we continue to bring them new skills, new information, new coaching toolkits, yeah,
yeah,
techniques,
that's right.
then they would be very excited about wanting to continue to learn. And as you can see, coaching has actually evolved over the years,
Yeah.
right? When it started, there was a lot of focus on live coaching, right? And then later on, we realized that people who needed live coaching don't necessarily can afford it, and therefore we move our focus to organizational
Yeah.
coaching.
Yeah.
So that's where leadership coaching, executive coaching grew. Yeah. And over the years, right now, I think more and more organizations are beginning to realize that they needed the skills of coaching. And coaching is nothing more than advanced communication skills.
Yeah, it's true.
So people need them anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. there's always this thing called hindsight, right? Hindsight, we can see how things has been. I came into the coaching industry a couple of years later than you, and of course I've also seen that tremendous so-called growth in people's understanding, people's acceptance of what coaching is. And yet to today, we still have organizations who are at the start of their journey. They're now just coming in. If a new company comes in right now, would you do things differently with that? Because it's now the year 2022, you know.
So I would just go with the client's initiative. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on where they are in their adoption of coaching, I have often hear leaders, yeah, HR leaders and even CEOs talking about, we have trained our managers and leaders on coaching over the years, but how is it that they still don't coach on a day-to-day basis, right? And it's very common, right? So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, so tell me what has worked even a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they will start talking about, oh, okay, I have got pockets of activities here that seems to indicate that coaching is starting to take shape within the organization, but it's not good enough. And I need more people, to use the coaching style of leadership. So we just build from there and say, okay, so if it has worked, what can we do to make it work even more often? And if it doesn't work, what can we do differently?
Yeah.
So we go, with small steps, and most of the time, it is quite amazing that I've seen leaders who says things like, Simon, we have been through coaching. I have attended all these courses, and I've been through so many leadership programs.
Yeah.
This is nothing new. And then what we do then is to ask a couple of questions, and then very soon they'll quickly realize how much more they need to know.
Yeah.
And then the conversation will evolve into a little bit more accepting, of coaching. And then they start to realize, oh, there's so much more that I need to learn. So tell me more. Then it opens the door for us as coaches to share a little bit more, and then we start to build the business from there. Yeah, that's how it works.
There are obviously many strategies to help a company inculcate a coaching culture within, right? I've heard of getting buy-in from the top, right? We've heard that, right? Making sure that that's happening. I've heard of building an internal bench strength of certified coaches, right? I've also heard of creating your own model, right, with your values in there, and making sure that the language is the language that we are speaking within our culture. So I've heard of all of that, right? And I'm sure you have as well. But when you think about it, Simon, if a new organization, as we're talking about, wants to get into coaching, could there be some basic building blocks that they need to have in place, or at least instill into the culture before it can really take shape?
Yeah, so in the work that I do, I often approach it just from a conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
I typically would introduce the 5 conversations that every leader ought to have with their employees, right? 5 conversation. Conversation number 1 is really about building a trusting relationship, right? Because that is a prerequisite for coaching.
It's
so
true.
when the relationship is good, the quality of the conversation will be better.
Yeah.
And when the quality of the dialogue improve, then employee engagement goes up.
Yeah.
When engagement goes up, then the performance will improve. So they are all interlinked. And I think leaders and HR leaders, sometimes they see the need to increase employee engagement, especially when it comes to a score, right?
Yeah.
So if we can help them to work on building employee engagement, then creating the relationship, that will help them with stakeholder management, right? And that's what they do on a day-to-day basis, working across culture, working with people across function. So if we have the first conversation around building trusting relationship, that would be a breakthrough. And the second conversation that I would typically engage them would be about aligning mutual expectations, right? Because sometimes goals or KPI are not just cascaded from the top down.
Yeah,
Sometimes employees need to be able to support their leaders. So therefore,
absolutely.
get to mutual expectation is crucial. And once we have alignment, then we have to start building confidence of the employees. And that's where we start to share with the leaders and managers how they can show genuine appreciation. Because we know that every compliment yields a dividend. So appreciation will build confidence. And after that, the difficult one is about dealing with unhelpful behavior, because there are going to be people who don't follow the instructions, people who
Yeah.
don't told, who could be difficult, conflicts within the team, people who refuse to make adjustment or change. So that's where we have to have strong conversation rather than nice conversation. And when we talk about equipping leaders with the skills to have strong conversations, that's where they get excited. They say, "Oh, how do I do that?" Right? Then they want to learn a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
And then the last conversation that I would typically focus on would be about building for the future. Why should employees stay with you, right?
Yeah.
And it's really all about having a career dialogue with the employees. So if we can engage employees and managers in a career conversation, that's where they will start to build for the future, and the growth in the coaching culture can take shape.
I love that, Simon. Oh man. You make things really, really simple. That's what I love about you. As you said, right? Let's just start by having a conversation with the client, just listening to them. It's like you just practice coaching everywhere you go, Simon.
That's the
Wow.
brilliance of the solution focused approach.
Mm, absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about the solution focused approach.
So for me, over the years, Mel, I've realized that, for coaching to be effective, we have to simplify the whole coaching process. So it is no longer about learning more and more things or making things sophisticated so that we can charge more, right? So it's about simplifying the whole coaching process so that your coaching becomes effective and it gets you to a positive outcome. So the solution focused approach is really a simple and effective approach to a positive outcome, and that's what I liked about it. So it speeds up the whole coaching process because we don't have to dwell on the problem. Right? We go straight to solution building because for years, for decades, we have been conditioned to look at problem solving, right? And our default mode is root cause analysis. That's our default mode.
It's true.
So the solution focused approach allows you to skip over that, and just look at the best hopes of the client, and then listen for what they truly care about, and then we build on what they want to get them to their preferred future. So that is a neat, simple process that works all the time.
Mm, mm. That's beautiful. I know this quadrant that talks about that past, and that past that we don't want to remember on one side, and then there's the past that is perhaps reinforcing of something positive, right? Tell us a little bit about that bit, because I know that solution focus is, as you say, about looking at that preferred state. But when would it be good to also review that bit of the past?
Okay, so thank you, Mel, for sharing this. This four quadrant thing is called the DOQ, Dialogic Orientation Quadrant.
Yeah.
It is something that Hae-Sun Moon, from the University of Toronto, worked on for many years,
Yeah.
and she recently wrote a book about coaching A to Z.
To see. Yeah.
It's a wonderful book. It's one of for me, it was like, when I bought it, it seems like the book of the year, for me. And it's really, very well written with lots of learning you can grasp from that small book. So the DOQ is in chapter 1 of that book. And the DOQ essentially is just 4 quadrant created as a result of just drawing 2 lines, a horizontal line that takes you from the past to the future, and a vertical line that talks about what you want more of to what you want less of. That means from the positive to the negative. And when these 2 lines intersect, right, the 4 quadrants that are created would be the preferred future, which is the positive and the future. The second quadrant is the positive past. The third quadrant is the negative past, which means things that we don't want, and that is the problematic past. And the fourth quadrant is the future but negative, and that will be the dreaded future. So look at this 4 quadrant. Actually, a lot of the time when the client come to us, they talk about the problems and what they don't want. Yeah. And so some coaches have the tendency to dwell on what is the cause of the problem. But a solution focused coach acknowledge the problem. We don't ignore the problem. Yeah, we acknowledge the problem, but then we move forward with, oh, this is what you don't want. So what do you want instead? Then you swing that conversation from quadrant 3 to quadrant 1. Yeah. So if you really look at this whole 4 quadrant, you can simply label it differently. Right? Quadrant 1 is the preferred future, and it is really about progress. So if the conversation is centered around progress that the client wants to see, then your conversation will be more positive, right? And the outcome you can get to will be quicker. If you are looking at the quadrant 3, it doesn't mean that it's all bad. If you are truly solution focused, you can focus on positive questions even though the client may be dwelling on the problem or the past. We can ask them questions like, so how helpful was it going through this experience, right? What did you discover about yourself as a result of going through this experience? And then, you can bring it up to quadrant 2, which is the past, but it's positive, right? So once they have learned about their experience, you can translate that into new learnings for the future. As a result of going through this problem, what did you learn about other people, other key stakeholders? What did you learn about yourself, right? What would be something that you need to preserve because it has worked for you, right? So what do you need to preserve, and what do you need to eliminate if it's not working? So you can talk about the 4 quadrants at any time, but the intention here as a solution focused coach is to still stay positive. So the 4th quadrant, which is the negative future, in other words, they're worrying about things getting worse, right? So if that is the case, then what precautions do you need to take in order to address the future that is dreaded? So there's no end to what you can do with the 4 quadrant, but it is a guiding compass. It is a listening compass. We call it the GPS, if you want, for your coaching.
Thank you for that. I think that would be very helpful for the coaches and the people listening to this interview. I remember you saying just now that you were one of the founders of ICF Singapore, and you've been very active participating with the ICF, I know, for many years. And then obviously I'm also curious because you are involved with 2 wonderful organizations, EMCC and as well as AC from the UK. Tell us a little bit about that journey going through these 3 wonderful organizations.
Okay, thank you for asking, Amel. For me, I just wanted to experience the different organizations in order to better understand how they evaluate coaches, how the assessment is being done. When I started coaching, I did my certification with the ICF, right? And when I did my ACC, focused approach. So I did my certifications with the Canadian Council for Professional Certification. And at that time, the CCPC Global have the chief examiner based at the University of Toronto. And when I look at the credibility of the organization, I'm like, okay, so if the chief examiner is a professor at the University of Toronto, and the U of Toronto is like a 250-year-old university, surely there must be some credibility. Yeah. But then I came back to complete the PCC. And when I did my PCC, that's when I met people like Peter Szabo, right? And Go. And that's where my skills in solution focus also grow with, being acquainted with the work that they do. I had the privilege of meeting Insu Kimberg in Interlaken. So I was very attracted to the solution focused work. So as I complete my PCC, the natural path, of course, would be to do the MCC. But at that time, I was thinking, hey, there's these two organizations. Why don't I try, working with one and see what happened? So then I actually did my Master Executive Coach program through the AC UK.
Yeah.
And I saw that it was different because there was a lot of reflection built into the assessment. There was a need to do micro analysis of your own coaching, right? And that's where the learning took place for me. Yeah. So I like that approach. And also the whole process require you to articulate your own coaching model. You will have to write your own thesis about your coaching philosophy. You also have to write, like 2,000 words on your fitness to practice. How do you match what you do to the competencies of the AC? So I thought it was quite a rigorous process. And I actually learned quite a bit through that process. So I adopted that, and then I get to check on the EMCC, and I realized that actually they were very similar, right? Because they were all part of this whole European setup. Right?
Yeah.
And then I explored the EMCC recently. So it took me a while to explore the EMCC, but I also, through this process, learned how responsive they are, or how slow, the response were. In between, I also took the supervision course through EMCC, and I did the ESIA, the European Supervisors program. So for me, it was more of a learning journey. It's not about which is better, because I believe that you always learn something from every coaching program, every training that you will learn something. So for me, it's really about accumulating the skills, the knowledge, so that I can be, doing a more effective job as a leadership coach. Learning, right? That's the key criteria.
And I really applaud you for that, Simon. How you just shared about your journey through your own growth, your own learning. It's like you're so focused at what you want for yourself. So I really applaud you for that, Simon.
Thank you.
And encourage everyone on the call to also explore. Simon is probably the first person I am interviewing who is not an ICF MCC. And to me, that is okay, because I consider Simon as a master even way before that. I really admire you, Simon.
Thank you.
We've talked about it being a new era right now. I know we don't have a crystal ball, but in your mind's eye, how do you envision the future of coaching?
I look at coaching as an essential skills that leaders or in organizations ought to have.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier too, I say coaching is basically advanced communication skills. I see a need for coaching to be taught even in schools, and hopefully someday it will happen. In fact, when I look at let's say the solution focused approach, we have already actually started teaching the solution focused kid skills to teachers and principals in schools.
Beautiful.
in Garden in Singapore. So they have already adopted some of this positive language, and we are seeing the benefit, of this. And so school counselors, most of the school counselors are also taught some coaching skills. In fact, there are some school counselors today who have actually changed their designation from counselor to coach.
Wow.
So that is how I see coaching helping to shape the way institutions and organizations function. So it will be necessary skills for everyone, even at home. You could be a coach at home, right, to your kids. So we
Absolutely.
should teach coaching to parents to be, right.
That is very essential. And then I would dare say that it's not the easiest of tasks. Learning coaching is one thing, executing it as a parent sometimes is not very easy.
And it's quite similar to parenting, right? So coaching skills can be equated to parenting skills, right? We all don't go to university to learn to become a parent, right?
Yeah.
We just got promoted to become a parent the moment the baby is born, and then we have to learn the skills, right?
Absolutely. This has been entrusted to us, and sometimes different skills for grandparenting as well, I'm sure.
That I have to learn.
Well, I hope I'm not near that. It's still far away for me. Simon, through your years, I mean, you've been a coach, wow, 20 plus years now, right? What will be some little nuggets that you want to say that these are what I've learned through the years? Maybe share a couple with us.
So for me, my own journey itself tells me that you actually don't have to have many clients. You have to have a few good clients that you can actually decide whether or not you want to work with, right? And then you choose your client. Of course, your clients also get to choose you, right? The chemistry needs to match. But you don't need many clients. You just need a few good clients. Do a damn good job, and your client will come back, right, for you
Yeah.
more and more. So that's how I've seen how my business have evolved.
Mm.
So we don't have to really do a lot of marketing. Because for coaching, I think word of mouth is very powerful. Yeah. And so I've also realized that you have to see yourself as part of the organization. In other words, even though you may be an external coach, you have to live within the organization
Wow.
and see how and what makes the organization tick.
Mm.
And then maybe help them with new interventions to address their needs. So that seems to work. Right? So I remember when I started working with Petronas, I started with only 5 people. And these 5 people came to a University of Malaya training program. And then after the 6 months program at AMSET, they say the GM came and the GM says, Simon, would you create a 3-day workshop for us? And so I wrote a manual for them and I trained their trainers, and they said they're going to do it on their own. But of course, they were so overwhelmed, right? They continue to need me because they see value. Right?
Yeah.
So I continued to work with them, and then we took that coaching from training the trainers to the new managers. When managers are newly promoted, they needed the skill. So we started to equip the new managers with coaching skills, and then it went to the senior leaders.
Wow.
And so the senior leaders learn about it, and then today we have a few hundred internal coaches within Petronas who have been certified. Some of
Wow.
them even go beyond the solution focused training, and they actually learn the ontological coaching approach.
Yeah.
So they have also been certified, some at the PCC level. So you actually see the whole organization grow. So, as we speak now, Mel, the organization have decided to start their own coaching academy. So I'm in the process of helping them to establish the program, maybe help them to get the program approved or accredited by the ICF or even the ACUK. And so it's a whole new exciting
Wow.
beginning. So after 18 years with Petronas, they are embarking on a new academy journey. So that's really something I look forward to helping them. That is what keeps you busy. Right?
Definitely. I'm taking away personally the fact that you're saying work with, alongside, partnering. It's actually what coaching represents, isn't it? Is this wonderful
Yeah.
partnership that we have with our clients, who are actually more than just clients. They are our partners, right? We act as a thinking partner, a conversational partner with them. And this conversation just takes on this long journey. It's like a long walk. And it continues and continues across the years. Yeah, it's just like how you're saying about coaching as a parent, right? You don't just learn how to be a wonderful coach for a 2-year-old, which could be tough, I guess. But then you start to realize that coaching an 8-year-old may be a little challenging too. And then coaching a 12-year-old. And then finally, as you say, right, 18 years, right? Coaching an 18-year-old may be a little different as well. And so, wow. First and foremost, congratulations, Simon, for this many years with this company. I just hope that you put in a Prism Award nomination for them.
I think when they have launched the coaching academy, get the program accredited, that I think will be a good time.
Wow.
To do it.
So amazing. We're coming to the almost the end of this wonderful interview. Simon, for new budding coaches walking in right now, what will be your wisdom as a master coach that you would like to share with these young ones coming in?
The questions that I would encourage them to ask constantly would be, how would a better version, of you look like?
Wow.
And if you ask these questions every year, then I think, you will see the improvement that you want. How would a better version, of you look like?
Wow.
And if you do this every year, then you holding up a mirror to yourself and say, okay, so this year, I'm doing this. Next year, maybe a better version of me will be something else.
Wow.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question for us all to ponder. How would a better version of ourselves be like this year? Whew. We've covered a lot of tracks, Simon. Any last words that you like to leave behind for us?
I would just say, whatever you do, simplify it. Because it's only when it is simplified that people will want to buy it.
Less is more.
Yeah.
Definitely. Simon, thank you so much for your open sharing and just for the years that you've been a beautiful friend and a wonderful, inspiring person that you are to the many thousands of people out there. I just want to say thank you for who you are and what you have done to all of us.
Thank you, Mel, for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate that. And I must congratulate you for all the work that you are doing in this space. You are
Thank you.
doing really good work. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Simon. This has been the 100 Master Coaches show. Today with Simon and myself, Mel. Thank you again for watching. If you really like this show, subscribe, but more importantly, share it with your world. Till then, take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.
You have been watching the 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, MCC. Brought to you by Catalyst Coach. www.catalystcoach.live. We will be right back with our next Master Coach on the 100 Master Coaches series.